Hello viewers, welcome back to class. This is Master Builders Online Academy. Don't forget our policy that you must not skip any part of this video if you must get full advantage of the mysteries that we are going to be demystifying as we teach this topic. Now don't forget also that this is a continuation class. We have been examining the concept of quadratic equation for quite a number of time now, and in this tutorial today we are going to be looking at quadratic equation by formula method. Guys, it's going to be mind-blowing. Don't forget, if you are new in this YouTube channel, subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on the post notification bell so that anytime we release mind-blowing content, you will be notified. Please like this video, share this video, and make your necessary comment at the comment section. Avoid every unnecessary distraction. You need to pay maximum attention to gain everything here maximally. Now let's get started. In quadratic equation, we said that every quadratic equation is expressed of the form a squared plus b plus c equal to 0, where a, b, and c are the constants, and x is the root of the equation, where we obtain two roots for any quadratic equation that is given. And now we have used the factorization method to solve problems on quadratic equation. We have used method of completing the square to solve problems also on quadratic equation, but today we are going to be using method of formula to solve problems on quadratic equation as well. Now listen guys, like we explained in our previous class, we mentioned that it is not all quadratic equations that are factorizable, so therefore there is need for us to be able to provide solution for those quadratic equations that are not factorizable. That is the reason why we had method of completing the square, formula method, and the graphical method, because we mentioned that method of factorization has a limitation that it cannot solve problems on quadratic equations that are not factorizable. Now, the quadratic equation formula stems from the method of completing the square. Yes, the quadratic equation formula stems from the method of completing the square. Now guys, so in this very video, the first thing we are going to look at is how to derive. Yes, we are going to quickly look at how to derive the quadratic equation popularly known as the almighty formula. Yes, the almighty formula. Now, let's go. You understand that generally we were taught that S is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So anytime you have a quadratic equation that you cannot factorize, you can quickly use this formula. Now, in this video, we are quickly going to look at how this formula was derived using the method of completing the square. Guys, you are going to love this, but pay maximum attention. Now, let's get started. This is this quadratic equation a s squared plus bx plus c. We simply call this derivation of quadratic formula. Alright, so we have a squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Now we just explained that we are going to be using the method of completing the square to derive this quadratic formula, popularly known as the almighty formula, right? Now, the first thing we do anytime we are using the method of completing the square to solve any quadratic equation is to ensure that the coefficient of the leading term, which happens to be s squared, is 1, must be 1. And when we look at it now, we discover that the coefficient of x here is more than 1, which is a, and a can be any value, can be any positive or any negative value. So what do we do? The first thing we are quickly going to do here is to divide both sides by a. Or divide all through. Divide both terms by a. So by this statement, we mean ax squared over a plus bx over a plus c over a is equal to 0 over a. Now the next thing we do is to cancel out this. Then we have s squared plus b over ax plus c over a. 0 divided by a is 0. Now, we are done with the first step, which says that the coefficient of the leading term must be 1. Now the next step, which is rule number 2, states that the constant term, which is the term without x, must be taken to the right hand side of the equation. And when we look at this expression or this equation, we find out that this term is the term that is without x. Therefore, we are going to take this term to the right hand side, being the constant term here. Is to quickly what? Take this to the right hand side. Then we have x squared plus b over a x is equal to, now when plus c over a crosses the sign of the equality, it becomes minus c over a. Now this is it. Then the step number 3 now states that we will need to add half the square of the coefficient of x to both sides, right? So what we need to do now first is to identify the coefficient of x. If there is need for us to add half the square of the coefficient of x to both sides, now guys, what is the coefficient of x at this point of this equation? Now the coefficient of x here is b over a plus b over a. This is the coefficient of x. And what's half of it? The half of this is times 1 over 2. And what's the square of it? This square. So we are going to be adding this term to both the left hand side and the right hand side. Are we there? Now we have this as x squared plus b over a x plus b over a times 1 over 2 all squared. We have added it to the left hand side. Now we are going to equally add it to the right hand side. We have minus c over a plus, repeat the same bracket, b over 2, have the coefficient of x all squared. Alright, this is it. Then the next thing we are quickly going to do now is to simplify this bracket. And hence, this will have given us x squared plus b over ax plus, now when we multiply b by 1, we are going to have b. And when we multiply a by 2, we are going to have 2a. All squared is equal to minus c over a, then plus b over 2a. This is a. All squared. Then the next thing we are quickly going to do is to what? Ignore the s term at the left hand side. We are going to ignore this to pick the first and the last term at the left hand side. We collect them together to form one loop. And what do we have here? We will have this to be x. Now, what is the sign of this? This is positive. Then we put plus b over 2a all squared. All we just did is to pick the base, this base, pick this base. They all have power of 2. Is that correct? Yes. They all have square. So pick this base plus this other base all squared. And that's exactly what we have. Then when we come to the right hand side, we have the right hand side to be c over a plus, now when we square b, we are going to have b squared. Now at the denominator, when we square 2, this is same thing as 2 square a square. So when we square 2, this will have given us 4, which is 2 times 2. Then when we square a, we have a squared. This is it. Then the next thing we are quickly going to do is we are going to simplify this left hand side of the equation. And now we can rearrange this by having this equation as x plus b over 2a all squared is equal to b squared over 4a squared minus c over a. I just decided to rearrange it so that this negative sign can be in between the first fraction and the second fraction. Now the next thing we are quickly going to do, guys, is we know that this right hand side now we have fractions there. And anytime you are subtracting a particular fraction from another fraction, you find the LCM of their denominators, right? Now the LCM of 4a squared and a is 4a squared. Now we can quickly look at that here. This is 4a squared. This is a. Now guys, what is common here is 2. We have a. We have 2a squared. What is common here? We have 2. We now have a squared. What is common is a. We have 1. We have a. And what is common is a. We have 1. We have 1. So when we multiply 2 by 2, we have 4. 4 times a. We have a. And a times a. This will have given us 4a squared. So that is to say the LCM of 4a squared and a is 4a squared. Then we have the left hand side as x plus b over 2a all squared is equal to 4a squared. Then we create our division line. Then the next thing we are quickly going to do is to pick this denominator, this new denominator, then divide it by what? The first denominator. And when this divides this, we are going to have 1 now. 1 times b squared. We will have this as b squared. Then put down this minus. Now the next is to also put down this denominator, 4a squared, divided by a. And understand that this is 4 times a over a, where a takes care of 1a, then we are left with what? 4a. Then this will have given us math. Then we will now multiply this 4a by c. And 4a times c, we are going to have 4ac. So as simple as this. Then the next thing we are quickly going to do, guys, is to subtract 4ac from b squared, which is not possible. So since we cannot subtract 4ac from b squared, then we will leave this like this. All we just need to do now is to take the square root of both sides. Yes. So we'll now take the square root of both sides. Now, taking the square root of both sides, the square here will disappear. Then we'll now have x plus b over 2a is equal to the square root of the left hand side, which is b squared, minus 4ac all over 4a squared. Now, I explained earlier that anytime you are introducing this, anytime you are introducing the square root, it must come with plus or minus sign. Then I introduce a plus or minus sign. Now, the next thing we are quickly going to do is to have this as x plus b over a. We are just going to be simplifying this expression, plus or minus. Guys, in short, we remember that if you have the square root of a over b is the same thing as root a over root b. Hope this is accepted. Yes, this is one of the laws of surd. That when you have fractions or multiple terms inside the square root and they are connected with a fractional form, or maybe they are connected with multiplication, that you can share the square root for them. So what we simply do here is we will share the square root for both the numerator and the denominator, and we have this. So if this is true, that means we can equally apply that theory here by simply having this equation as the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over the square root of 4a squared. So we just apply one of the laws of surd here. Are we there? Yes, one of the rules of surd. That's what we just applied here by sharing the square root for the numerator and the denominator. Why are we doing this? We know that 4 is a perfect square and a square is also a perfect square. So when you find the square root of 4, you are going to have 2. When you find the square root of a square, you are going to have a. Therefore, we have that x plus b over 2a is equal to plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of a squared is 8. Now that we have gotten this, the next thing we are quickly going to do is to make s the subject of formula. And how do we make s the subject of formula? All we simply do is to put down x and take b over 2a to the right hand side. Now understand that when plus b over 2a crosses from the left hand side to the right hand side, that positive sign must change to the opposite side. Therefore, this will have become minus b over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now at this point, guys, we know that the denominator here and the denominator here, they are the same. Is that correct? That means you can get their common denominator and simplify. Alright? So what we just need to do is to find LCM of 2a and 2a is 2a. So we are going to put down here 2a. So we have x is equal to, you put down your division 2a. Now guys, 2a divided by 2a. Now that new denominator divided by this denominator will give us 1. And 1 times minus b, this will have given us minus b plus or minus. Now 2a, which is our new denominator, divided by 2a will give us 1. And 1 times this numerator will also give us this numerator, b squared minus 4ac. Therefore, the quadratic equation is equivalent to this QED. Quite easily resolved. Are you there, guys? It's as simple as this. So if you have not been able to derive quadratic equation formula before, or you don't even know how the quadratic equation formula into being, then we have showed you how to derive the quadratic equation formula, popularly known as the almighty formula. So this is the almighty formula that most people always refer to. So if you are new in this YouTube channel, do consider subscribing to this YouTube channel and ensure that you turn on the post notification bell so that every time we release mind-blowing content, guys, you will be notified. And ensure before you exit this current video, you must like this video. So in the next video, guys, we are going to be using this formula to solve quadratic equation problems. Alright, yes, we're going to be solving quadratic equation using this formula. Of course, sometimes in objective, some students have this as options in the objective, and many students face this because most of the time, many students write this as minus b plus or minus square root of b squared 4ac all over 2a. If you write it this way, you are very wrong because the 2a covers both everything inside the square root and this minus b, so it must be from b across all the functions, across all the functions and the numerator. So don't limit it to only the square root. When you have it this way, you are wrong because you can have it in objective. Alright, so the correct option is this, where you have one numerator and one denominator. So see you guys in the next video, and you can quickly check the description below where you will find the link to the next video where we'll be solving problems using this equation or using this model, this formula you just derived. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Take your time to walk through these processes and you will understand it perfectly well. If you don't understand it, you can watch it over and over again till it sinks into you. Then if you have any question, you can hit us at the comment section, or as well, you can check the description below where you will see our social media platform, our email where you can message us, you can send us your private questions and we attend to them perfectly well. Thank you for watching. See you guys in the next class.